what is the master's in? Is it in education or is it in what?
Yeah,
Literature?
it's not an admin. It's curriculum and instruction.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It's not an
I mean, you
admin.
could, that's kind of actually a cool major if you wanted
It
to
is.
get an admin credential because there is the curriculum and instruction APs, uh, and
Well, what's the benefit is the raise. There is a
mm,
raise,
hmm
and
right.
um, there are certain jobs if you go online that aren't admin, but there are things that I'd rather do anyway than being an admin.
Right.
Like head of curriculum. There's heads of curriculum,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Some schools. Yeah.
and they're well paid positions.
Yeah,
You're not really teaching. You're also in line for being the lead teacher. Dude, like I'm
sure.
doing this, I'm like, oh man, I already have a lot of tricks up my sleeve, but this is a
Sure.
real meaningful 8 weeks. I learned a lot. I did stuff in
Yeah.
my classes that I've never done before that really made me rethink a
Oh,
lot of
wow.
things.
Oh, we
Yeah.
should do an episode of that. That'd be cool. Yeah,
Yeah, for
definitely.
sure. There's
Yeah.
some really good stuff I learned. So,
Hey there, welcome. Ruben, today we're looking at an article in the LA Times dated April 21st, 2026. The title was LAUSD to restrict student access time after years of encouraging classroom use. So, and it's pretty much focusing on elementary school, although it does touch on middle school and it says it's doing something for the high school level, but very little. But we'll focus here on the elementary. They're basically, I think you know this. All schools with LAUSD, they give there's each student a computer or an iPad, and they take it home, and it's been great. And we've moved from a pencil to paper situation to pretty much electronic, and now we're seeing it kind of the pendulum kind of going back to paper and pencil, especially in the elementary level with this agreement with the board of and LAUSD. There was actually they voted like 6-0, Ruben, recently, that's saying, hey, you know what? We're going to go back to, or at least we're going to start moving in that direction where we see more students using pencil to paper and getting off the screen. And you know what? The interesting thing part of this, Ruben, is that it's the parents that were the ones who are pushing it. So the board actually let the parents know that they were happy with this because they know that it is a concern. Because when the kids come home, what do? They pop up their computers and they're just watching YouTube. They actually went after YouTube pretty much in this article, saying, "Hey, this takes a lot of time away from the kids. They're always on it, and I'm sure they're on TikTok as well, but YouTube for sure, for at least for the elementary school, and I know high school and and so forth. They use it as well. But Ruben, recently, my neighbor next door, she is a substitute teacher, and she recently got a gig where she's working with kindergarten, first grade. And she came home and my wife and her walk sometimes at the park here nearby, and she was sharing with my wife that this was the worst. And my wife's like, kindergarten and first grade, and she goes, they're tough. I told Kim, oh, I've taught that grade level before. I could see that, but I'm wondering if that has a lot to do with screen time, and the kids are just wired up, and so that's what their concern is. The kids are wired up, and they're not really spending too much time really thinking about their education. They're wanting to be on the
well,
screen. Yeah,
when you say wired up, I think
that's probably not the best word.
just to put maybe a different thought through a different lens, it's a lot of screen time off, and they cited. We'll cite the article, or I'll link the article. They cited a study that correlates or connects extra screen time or much screen time with anxiety,
Yes.
stress, and maybe a sense of attention deficit issues because you're hyper focused on a screen and then you're asked to remove the screen to pay attention to the teacher, and that might translate to your friend's experience with kindergarten
Right.
of there's lack of focus. There's attention deficits because they're used to being in front of a screen. And so they're addressing it. And I think to LAUSD's credit, they're addressing it because they should. We talk about balance, but let's face it, we need an imbalance. We need a pushing away of the screen for a
Yeah.
while. We've talked about this on this channel. Live, express yourself, go outside, move away from the screens as much as possible. Um, they're used to being on screens. Let's do something different. Let's bring back the pencil and the paper, like you
Yeah.
mentioned. Let's bring back the speaking. Yes, I even encourage my students to not use their phone to look at their notes. Use a note card.
Yeah.
This doesn't even look good when you bring a phone and you're staring at a phone and you're talking. Just bring a note card and glance at the notes and just speak to us. This is a skill. This is a good thing. So I like the new emphasis
Oh,
on
yeah.
removing screen time for some of those reasons.
Yeah, I think those are great reasons, and I wish they would have addressed more of the high school because I think because it's happening there as well. And I think it's up to us. And they're not saying we're going to, at least for the upper grades, we're not going to say this is what you have to do, but they're just going to encourage it. I know for me, Ruben, I was encouraged enough to say, you know what, next year, I'm, well, this year at least, I started doing no essays are on computer anymore. That's paper to pen because the AI stuff is just, it's hard for me to control
Where
that
did you learn that? Where'd you get that from?
from this channel, Roop, and from things that we read and things that we talked about. And we've been talking about AI for the last couple of years, but it's just more prevalent, right, in the classroom. And then the second thing, Ruben, is I've decided to I have electronic textbooks, that my students just go to the computer and they read. I think next year it's just going to be back to the book, let them take that. And then the third thing I decided is regarding. Oh gosh, I was going to say, oh, all test, also be paper to pencil, which I used to always do in the back in the day, and now and I'm not gonna lie to you, Ruben, it's very convenient to do it electronically. It's just like it's there, and the computer grades it for you, and it does all this stuff for you. But you know what? It's just it's not best for the kids, and we're seeing that even through this article. I did like that other states are doing it, are addressing it as well. Utah, I think, doesn't even let the kids take the computers home anymore. They have these carts, which we started out with a few years ago, and I think those are the smart deals, And I like it that the elementary level is addressing, especially the first to third grade. But you know what? Thank you for let us know actually about what you think about this. If this is good, if you're seeing issues at your home regarding your child and their computers and they're spending too much time on it. And with that, Ruben, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon on Pod and Deliver. Bye bye.